Hey guys, what's going on? You're watching the Brandon and Jerry podcast. This is episode 35. We're here to talk tonight about who was evicted from the Big Brother 20 house and who's the new HOH and all the craziness that went on for the past few days. And tonight you're here with Kelly.
And I'm Jacob.
I'm also Kelly.
And I'm their pet mascot, Shaun.
Cool. Sweet. Awesome.
Oh,
So
it's going to be a good night.
Yeah, it is. It's so good. So we're finally, guys, we can celebrate. We can toast the fact that Caitlin, after tonight, is no longer HOH.
Woo!
All right.
And she won't have as cozy of a bed to snuggle up on, so hopefully that cramps her style a little bit. That's what I'm hoping.
The good news is this is just what the universe wanted to happen.
Yes.
Wanted to be HOH for a time, but now that season has shifted.
Oh, yes.
This is for the greater good, as she told, as she mentioned in her goodbye message.
That is the most pandering load of crap I've ever heard in my life. Like, don't ever tell me that me being evicted from the house is for the greater good of the universe.
No,
Screw you twice.
She was basically saying, the universe likes me better than you.
Yeah.
I hope you're okay with that.
I don't have any control over it.
I'm almost pretty sure that all of her spirit guides are salesmen. Like, each one of them kind of just chimes in, like, tell them some of this shit. Don't get them to buy into it. Like, but they're dead because they weren't very good at it.
That's fair. Oh man. So I was really disappointed by what I saw from Swaggy C once I saw the diary rooms. Like, when I saw him campaigning on the feeds, I was like, man, this guy's being authentic. He's being sweet. There's a different side to himself. But when we see behind the curtain, it's still the same Swaggy C putting on a show, and he's full of himself. He called himself the world's greatest actor when he was telling the sob story about how he's gonna get shot if he goes back home. And,
just to be fair, like, he does come from a very, like, one of the worst cities in Connecticut.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, it's not all like Hamptons.
He comes from the hoods of Delaware, y'all.
Seriously though.
I know, you're right, Kelly.
No, but okay. So
apparently, I'm hilarious tonight.
I had to think about that because I didn't know where Connecticut was for a second. Like, oh man, we've talked about Detroit and Chicago. What's going on in Connecticut?
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. Okay. So he comes from a rough part of town. I get that, and I know his life is difficult. But like, okay, pick one narrative and stick to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't be I'm the kid from the ghetto, but I'm also like this like super bomb manipulator person. You can't be both. Like, you can't use your story to manipulate and then also want them to believe that it's genuine. It's either it's a lie or it's the truth. Like, you're not.
He wanted to paint a picture of himself as like living this glamorous lifestyle with T-shirts with his name on it, and also be this down on his luck guy that this is all he has left. Which seems more close to the truth.
No,
that super seems more close to the truth.
I believe it. Like, I don't even believe that he's any form of day trader at this point. I think he's a babysitter who said he was a day trader because he couldn't think of anything cooler to say, and he didn't want to say he was a babysitter. Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't. As Swaggy said in his exit interview, spoiler alert, he was evicted, and I'm not sad about it. I don't rock with Swaggy anymore. I don't want to hear about him. I'm done with, because I thought, okay,
didn't you draft him?
Yeah, and I hated him in pre-interviews. Then I started to like him first week of the show. He's taking me on an emotional roller coaster, and I'm sick of it. I want off. I don't rock with you. I don't want. Listen, Swaggy. If you want to come on the podcast, you're more than welcome. But I'm gonna yell at you and tell you how big of a liar you are the entire time. Like the guy, I'm so tired of this guy. Oh man,
I've never seen anybody so eager to cash in on his dead dad too. Like he went right to the dead dad every time.
Wait, so is his dad really dead then?
Yes.
He fucking better be.
I almost thought that was a lie too. I was like, maybe his dad's not dead. Like this is a preemptive kind of like dead dad gamble thing.
He wouldn't go full on Matt Hoffman.
That would be
BB12.
Yeah,
for those of you that didn't watch BB12, Matt Hoffman decided to use his wife as strategy and say that she was dying.
Yeah.
And he revealed in the jury house that she, in fact, was totally fine. But the best part about it was that when he won HOH, she actually wrote a letter and like talked about how she was doing okay and neighbors were checking up on her. Like she totally
she played the part because she had to.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So he didn't go that. He hasn't gone that far.
But okay, so we just have to. I have to get through how delusional Swaggy was up until his very last moments. His speech, by the way, he was like, "Okay, so, Julie, you better not interrupt me, cause like I'm about to drop some stuff." And like his speech wasn't even longer than most people's speeches. Like it was not that. And then he says like, "Look, I've got my minions." What did he say? He's got his. I don't
remember what it was.
It was a pretty bland speech. He made it sound like he was about to drop some truth bombs, but
yeah,
right. No,
it was more just like, come on, guys, let's have some fun.
Yeah, and
he just sold his brand.
Yeah, and he's like, "Hey, I've got my goons. My goons are gonna do work for me."
Oh, that's right.
And I love Scotty, by the way. Scotty was like, when he went in, he threw the most shade possible. He's like, I've got love for you, Chris, but I'm nobody's goon. I vote to evict you.
Yeah, I love that both he and Sam, like Sam got the push really hard, like the sob story, and Swaggy was all bragging that he was playing her, but she didn't fall for it either.
Right.
No. I love that. I have to agree. Scotty did so many awesome things. Like he actually wore the gear, played the part.
He was the guy. Man. He was the guy, according to Swaggy, that made them came up with wearing the gear. That was hilarious.
So the best part about this episode was that we ended up missing. When I say we, Shaun, Kelly, and I watched it together, and we missed the first 10 minutes of the episode. So then we went back and watched the first 10 minutes, and it was so much more amazing hearing Scotty talk about how, oh, you guys, we have 5 votes right off the bat to keep you. We just need 2 more. And then knowing the fact that Scotty was the person that flipped.
Yeah.
And no one, I don't think anyone suspects it, except Haley knows that she's in trouble now. Right. But either way, it was amazing.
Yeah. Scotty's. Yeah. Who drafted Scotty?
That's me. He was my #1 pick. My dark horse right off the bat.
You want to trade Scotty for Bailey?
I'm good.
She was doing a pretty good job too with damage control. Just she went into Caitlyn, started buttering her up, and it's just like, hey, I'm coming in with open arms, no hard feelings. It's just a game. It was a good move, but so she was doing okay with that last part there.
Yeah.
Some people go scorched earth when they get blindsided like that, but both Swaggy and Bailey managed to at least go up to Caitlyn and be like, hey, and let her do her whole sob story like she was the real victim here.
Yeah, I'm tired of her as well. I'm so glad to have somebody like Scotty in the HOH room this week, because it's gonna be all about logic, and he reminds me a lot of somebody who thinks about the game in sort of a Steve sort of way. So it'll be nice to kind of let that and see how that goes. I know I'm jumping around. Steve, or not Steve, Scotty. Scotty did win the trivia-based HOH competition.
After Rachel mathed herself into a stupor.
Oh my god, that was so ridiculous.
15,000.
She was sitting there doing fast math on her hands. It was so great.
You know that Zach Galifianakis like meme from the Hangover where all the math like appears in front of his head?
Oh yeah, that was Rachel.
That was Rachel.
Man, she bombarded herself with that one there.
I don't know how could she get that high. Like even hearing that number. Right off the bat, I knew.
15,000 seconds.
We did the math. It's like 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
That comp was not 3.5 hours long.
Right.
It was funny though because like before she gave her answer, she was sitting there like looking super. Scotty looked like he was kind of stumped, and I was looking at Rachel like, oh, she's doing it. Wow. And there was like inspirational music playing in my head. I was like, wow, look at her go. And then she turns it around. She might have put.
I was like, she's gonna get this exactly right. I thought she was like counting the actual seconds.
Yeah,
seriously.
I thought she was going like through like the like movements on that whole thing. I mean, it was no better. Her answer was a lot better than mine. I said some ridiculous numbers, and I wasn't even close on the whole thing. So she did a damn good job.
By the way, on those questions, on those trivia questions, how do you ever get those things wrong? How do you like? I'm at home. Obviously, I'm at home and I'm watching, but I'm like, how do you guys not pay attention? I would have gotten every single one of those questions right.
Yeah,
I feel like
the same reason that Swaggy can't remember his own advice to himself from before he went into the house. People get stuck. I remember, like, when I started working at the prison, they show these training videos of, like, officers in situations. They get trained to use their weapons and stuff, and then, you know, you get in the moment and they get caught, and they call it the goofy loop, where you're just like, and you stand there and you end up getting shot or run over by a car. That's pretty much what happened to Swaggy. It's what happened to Rachel.
Yeah.
Like, they just get frozen, I think.
Yeah, wow. I mean...
Yeah.
Because that competition always seems to be one that can be easily won. Like it's definitely, can you pay attention to this video and remember details? I feel like everybody who ever thinks about going into the Big Brother house should know that competition's coming and know what to pay attention to.
And it's not even one of the harder ones where like you have to stay up all night and get the information. Like it's presented to you right in front of you. Yeah. And like 10 seconds later, you're being asked questions about it. I kind of like it reminds me of that other one from last season where they had like the dancers and the quick change artist.
Oh,
that
right.
was really, really cool.
Yeah.
So I like that they did another comp like that again. I mean, especially from a viewer's perspective, because it's like, would I actually do well in this competition?
Right.
Which I almost would have. I messed up on one question.
By the way, I love the shot take at Apple. Like the entire thing was
Steve Jobs,
was great. I thought that was fantastic.
They should have made him more ghost-like.
Yeah.
I honestly, before they started that competition, like with the pineapples and the lights and like the setup, like for at least a good like 45 seconds, I believed that they were talking about some like Canadian app store. I was like, pineapple, it's an app thing, like go for it. But then it was just really started getting the cheesiness of it started to rub off. I was like, oh.
So yeah, I mean, I was actually surprised that Swaggy got some of the votes that he did get. I thought Haley wouldn't make the vote that she did. I think it's really, really stupid of her to make that vote.
Especially now that Scotty can pin it on her.
Right. Exactly. And so we saw an 8-4 vote, right? Is that correct?
8-4, yeah.
8-4.
Yeah. I thought it was 8-5.
No, 8-4 because there could have been a tie.
Okay.
Right. So we saw Haley make that vote. Who was the third? So it was
Angie Rockstar, Haley, Fessy, and Bailey.
By the way, Fessy and who I just said.
Bailey? Rockstar?
No.
Haley.
Yeah.
It's like we were just talking about it, but we couldn't remember the details 30 seconds later.
Those two votes, though, make no sense to me.
It's true.
Like, the Fessy and Haley votes make absolute... Because they knew what was happening, so why would you throw the votes? Rockstar,
okay.
I get.
Here's what I think. Because, well, go ahead. What were you going to say about Rockstar?
Because, like, Rockstar, I get. She's, like, the super, like, I'm going to stand up for a cause and, you know, and make my vote to keep Swaggy because I really believe that he's been done an injustice here. I get that vote. And Bailey's his girlfriend or whatever, is showman's. So I get that vote, but I don't understand the other two.
So Fessy and Swaggy are like really, really close. And it was obvious that, I mean, remember the veto during the veto meeting, like how pissed off he was and like how distraught he was. Obviously, like he and Swaggy are really close. And then as for Haley, I think that Angie got to her because Haley and Angie are really close.
Okay.
So I think that's what I think that Angie got to her, and Angie was like, hey, don't do this. Like, vote for, you know that Swaggy should be staying. So vote for him, even if you know that he's not going to go. Bad move on Haley's part. But still, I think that's what happened.
I mean, I think you can say that because I think they're probably aware that there's a strong alliance on the other side, even if they can't name them all. And that with the, whatever the hell they call it, the Faute alliance, pretty much in essence. By the way. Yeah, I think they have to have some sort of, they're sort of like, they need to tie together their little life raft. And with Bailey having a pretty strong opinion, I think they probably don't want to alienate the people that they feel like they can still work with. So, you know, it makes sense to retain some sort of a small block there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but why do it so publicly?
That's fair.
And, like, we always complain when there are unanimous votes early on, but like in this instance, it really makes sense to like just go with the house in most cases because you don't gain anything by sticking your neck out. Like I said, I understand. Like, you want to show that there's some resistance or whatever, but unless you're winning HOH, unless you're trying to win the HOH, you're screwed. So you might as well be like, hey, I got on board with the plan. Don't put me up. Because like,
it just always feels like the Popular Kid Alliance that runs the house for the first half of every fucking season. Yeah. Like, the other half of the house always ends up lining up like sheep and just waiting to be put down.
Slaughtered.
So, I mean, I don't know. Like, it really does feel like there's the cool kids and then the people that really want to be with the cool kids, even if they don't want to admit it. And they end up, Tyler's pulling strings. I mean, even Scotty, who was playing a great game this week, still has strings being pulled by Tyler.
Right.
Absolutely.
Tyler is just like the GOAT right now. Like he's absolute. And when I said the GOAT, I mean the greatest of all time, not the actual.
No, he's a GOAT. No.
But I was telling Kelly though that like he needs to really step back. I think he should not be in Scotty's ear too much this week. He should step back and let Scotty get the blood on his hands because he starts pulling too many strings and he's behind every eviction every week. It's going to get bad for him, especially with Caitlin riding his coattails.
Right. By the way, I was joking with Kelly earlier on the phone, and I was saying that if if she finds out that she no longer has a relationship outside the house, like Tyler is going to run and hit the self-evict button so quickly.
There was like a little moment when they were cutting to commercial tonight where you could see Caitlin sitting right next to Tyler, and she was chatting him up, and you could see him just kind of like, yeah, and like trying to like keep this in. I was like, dude, you dug your own grave.
I saw this clip from the live feeds, and Caitlin was talking about how she's glad that she has a boyfriend in the house because she doesn't know that her boyfriend broke up with her. And by the way, I would like to backtrack because I know that I've kind of been like defending Caitlin a little bit, being like, hey, her behavior is a little acceptable because like her and her boyfriend have talked about it. Sure. But her boyfriend dumped her. Like he's not going to be with her anymore because he's not happy with how she's been behaving. So she doesn't know that she doesn't have a boyfriend anymore. But either way, so
in a little bit though. I'm sure.
Yeah. So Caitlin was saying, I'm really glad that I have a boyfriend because if I didn't, I would not be behaving myself.
Oh, Jesus.
Wow.
What does it even mean for her to not behave herself? What has she been doing so far?
I know, right? Like, this is coming from the woman that said that she wanted to have sex with Bessie, but in a much more explicit way. And she wrote on Tyler's arm how she would drop everything for him. And she wanted to, I think she also said, I want to kiss him. Yeah, like...
I wonder how long the wait list for her life coaching is going to be when she gets out of here.
Yeah, I mean...
What kind of lives is she trying to coach now? I guess that's like, it's not going to be fidelity a coach, that's for sure.
So she's going to expert in ex relationships.
So guys, I think we should all go in on like a podcast credit card so that when the season's over, we can all pay for an hour of life coaching.
Hell yeah.
And broadcast it. Can we please do that?
Oh my god.
I'm down.
Be like the four of us really need some life coaching, and we want our YouTube followers to document the journey. I really, honestly, I do want to do that.
I'll go in on that for
we
sure.
We can split the cost 4 ways and have an hour of life coaching with Caitlin.
How much is it to be with Caitlin?
I don't know.
$11,000 for a year.
Oh.
And we don't want to do Rachel's math, so we'll have to figure it out the right way.
No, we need an hour that we can put on YouTube because it'll be amazing.
Oh, that sounds awesome. That sounds awesome. I like it.
So $1,000 for some videos?
Because she needs to get catfished a little bit at this point. I feel like she deserves it.
No,
I don't know if I can handle.
Her life is falling apart, and she doesn't even know it. She's gonna be.
She's got like these big saucer eyes, like Caitlin. She's got these like honking big eyes that like
they're Nicole Richie eyes.
Yeah, you don't.
She looks like Nicole Richie. It's crazy.
She super freaking does. I'm not like bashing on her, but like I don't know if I can stand looking at her that long because I'm afraid I'm gonna get like her eyes are gonna pop out of her head and like roll my way. I
totally could for the comedy, and I feel like we should commit to having her on the podcast to give us all great podcasting advice. I feel like our podcast is missing having our auras read by Caitlin.
Should we show her this podcast?
Yes,
we should. And
beforehand.
Here's the thing, though, and the reason I don't feel bad for her is that life coaches are predatory.
Yep.
She put her finger on it in the opening episode. She said, a lot of people give me a hard time because I'm a life coach and I'm 24. And then she just trailed off. She didn't like give a reason why it was okay to be a life coach at 24.
And then she said people literally shit on me for doing this.
By the way, your impression of her vocal fry is amazing. Do that one more time for our listeners. Give us the impression one more time. Do it.
People say that it's not okay for me to be a life coach because I'm 24.
Yeah.
So yeah. She really thinks she has cracked the code of the universe, and I just am over it. She needs to go home and get some humility.
She has, though. She has cracked the code. It's in the quartz crystals around her bedroom. You just gotta look, man.
Oh man. I mean, I don't really mean to rag on Caitlin, but that would be the funniest thing in the world to do. I mean, I'm sure people are just gonna blow her up to,
She will. She'll get a bunch of life coaching sessions of people that either want to cuddle or they want to dissect her game.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like if the Logan Pauls of the world have taught us anything, is that like having a disaster will lead to more money. Go ahead, Shaun.
the thing where we're definitely on 2 chapters here with Caitlin. One is her. I don't even know the word for it. One is her career, which is the life coach thing. The other one is the way that she presents herself to all the males in the house, which is, hey, my spirit guide said you were interested in some shit.
Yeah. Now, to be clear, we are not, or at least I'm not, and I'm sure the others can back this up. I don't care what Caitlin does in the house. It doesn't bother me at all that she goes around the house and cuddles with all the guys and wants to cuddle with all of them. It doesn't bother me at all. What's hilarious is that she's also a life coach. Like,
right. And that none of it is game related. She just really likes to cuddle. She's like, none of it is a strategy.
Yeah. She just wants somebody to pet.
Oh my gosh. And then like when Swaggy was in there fighting for his life and she was like listening to him and not really paying attention, and then she goes, "Oh, do you love her?" Oh,
that was the most ridiculous thing. And Swaggy knew exactly how to play into it.
If he had played it harder, if he had been like, "Caitlin, do not separate us. We are falling in love, and if you end it now, I don't know if it will work out." If he played it harder, I think she might have been like persuadable, because everything like that has worked with her so far.
Yeah, exactly. You just have to really give her a nice universe loves me story, and she'll keep you. Like, she's the most manipulatable person in the house right now.
In the history of Big Brother, perhaps.
Yeah.
Well, she really does remind me of a parasite. I mean, she does a lot of cuddling.
Yeah.
That's the quote of the night right there.
She's in places you don't want her to be, for sure.
Oh my goodness, Shaun.
Sorry, Kelly. I know we're piling on.
That was wonderful. No, like she made her life choice to become a life coach and work for MLM. So now you got a lie in it, man.
Caitlin, if you see the video, like, just know, like, I'm on your lines if I'm wearing Swaggy stuff, but then secretly I'm not.
Hey, yeah, Caitlin, if you ever see this video, know that I have nothing but love for you, and I really do want to book an hour of coaching with you, because I
You're
want,
legitimate about that?
I want to hear why you think auras are so important, and I really want to know how the universe wants me to be in the Big Brother house. So I need you to confirm that for me. I feel like the universe wants me to be in the Big Brother house. I feel like if I book an hour coaching session with you, I will definitely be able to manifest that. So,
hey, Caitlin, if you ever watch this video, I want to let you know that it's very personal with me, and I don't like you as a person. You have chosen a profession that encroaches on mine, and as someone who took 10 years of school and racked up $300,000 of student loan debt, you can just go right to hell. So,
and I know me clapping for that is confusing for you, Caitlin. I just said how much I loved you, but I take that back, because he's totally right.
I think if anything, I'm pretty sure if anything, Caitlin's gonna see this and she's just gonna claim it's a spiritual attack. So
she's just gonna say that we all have red auras.
My aura is smoky gray. I'm fine with it.
There is no hell. It is all about the aura.
My aura is like a bunch of smokers' lungs just hovering over my head.
So yeah, I just before we end this podcast, I do want to say that it is ridiculous to me that after getting the explanation from Tyler about why he was targeted, somebody who said that they were there for the game, you can't take things personal, took things way personal. I'm like, he's not even on the jury. He can go home and sort of enjoy the rest of the season. And I feel like that lost a lot of respect for me. Like, I was sticking up for Swaggy. I wanted him to succeed. I thought, he sort of got the raw end of the deal in some ways. But, when you go out of the house that way, and you call people minions or whatever he said, and then he says, "You know what? You're dead to me." After getting a completely rational explanation, I have no respect for that type of person outside of the house. So yeah.
And I gotta give it to Tyler. I've been worried he's gonna go a little bit too Paul, like make that mistake of trying to be everybody's best pal, and he kind of is doing that. But his message to Swaggy, even though he probably knows he's not a threat now, there's not going to be a buyback or anything.
We all know there's not going to be a buyback after Julie's
But he was like, if he can follow that pattern and be transparent with people and not pander to the jury too much like Paul did, I think he's setting himself up pretty nicely.
Yeah, go ahead and be the diary room villain. He's setting himself up well. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, you're good. I was just going to say that was a really refreshing take from last week with his honesty. That was just really nice, because I was starting to get a little afraid that he was going to be like Paul. So history does not repeat itself.
Say
that again?
he did lie last week, so he must have decided, hey, I don't want to do that with Swaggy, and probably don't want to do that going forward. So it's a really refreshing thing to see.
Hope so.
It's good
I think that's going to be Paul's legacy. Probably he gave like a blueprint over 2 seasons of how exactly not to play Big Brother.
How to not
how to come this close and not win. And I speak as a true fan of Paul. Like how to almost nail it, but not even really be close at the end of the day.
But twice, it's amazing. Like, yeah, I mean. So we have a Scotty HOH, guys. What do you guys think is going to happen under a Scotty HOH?
I think that one of the easiest things to put up is going to be Caitlyn because you can't trust her anymore. And I don't know who the second one's going to be. Maybe
Angie Rockstar.
Because, well, the thing is, he's playing the side of Swaggy, even though he's not really Swaggy. He's on his own side there. So, like, is he going to keep going? Is he going to put the other team up? Or is he going to... I mean, he can't put his own up, so I don't know what he's going to do there.
You don't know. I don't know about that.
I think we're most likely to see like a Caitlyn and a Rockstar. And the reason for the Caitlyn nom is simply because that way he can still sort of play the middle. He can still play the impassioned best friend to Bailey when they're talking. They're like, hey, look, I put up the person that put up your boyfriend, and then that way he can continue to play both sides.
Is it going to be like super obvious though, pulling basically exactly what Caitlyn did last week? He's doing it again.
Well, he's not actually.
Smart,
go ahead. I don't think he's doing the exact same thing. I think with those two, he would just sort of let them fight and see whoever wins. And I feel like Caitlyn has enough enemies and Bailey has enough enemies, so it's a 50-50, and he doesn't really care who goes home, but whoever's weekend is the side he's going to side with less. So it's sort of a feeling out process. That's how I would approach it if I was.
Can we? Is it pretty much like? I feel like he has a strong alliance with Sam, so he's not going to put her up, right?
No, yeah, he's not going to put up Sam. Sam is completely safe.
Yay!
By the way, did you guys know? I know I talked with Kelly about this earlier, but did you guys know that Tyler and JC have a final 2?
Yes,
that's what Kelly was saying. That's beautiful.
Yeah. That's a
power duo right there.
An absolutely beautiful thing. I love it. I mean, it's one of Tyler's 7 final 2s, but I mean, honestly, JC believes it's 100% legit. So that's all that matters is that one side believes it's the real thing, and so JC is going to be a nice little minion, pun intended, for Tyler, and and do a lot of work. He did a lot of work this week trying to prove to everybody that Tyler's stupid and only does what Caitlyn wants because he's in love with her or whatever. He was really peddling that narrative for him, and Tyler loves it. At least last week he did. We'll see what happens this week.
I think if Tyler was smart, he would let Scotty put up someone like Winston, like weed out like one of the problematic people. By the way, how awesome is it going to be when Winston finally does get voted out and his paranoia is rewarded?
Oh man, that's going to be so nice.
He's going to be like, I knew it the whole time. You know, when he gets out to Julie, he's going to be like, I knew something was happening for the entire time that I was in the house. You cannot trust anyone, and that's why nobody will ever take my guns.
Oh man.
Oh, good times, man.
But yeah, we have a Scotty HOH week to look forward to. We're gonna have some nice feeds. I think they're gonna be less dramatic than last week, but Caitlyn's
still in the house.
So
just as dramatic, just less power.
Not for long.
They should put Faisal up and see what fireworks go off with Caitlyn.
Jeez.
One thing that did confuse me is that production still seems to be telling a narrative that, at least in the feeds, doesn't seem to be happening, where Faisal and Haley have this relationship. They mentioned like a budding showmance between the two in tonight's episode, and I didn't think that was true. Are you guys getting that impression still?
Well, I was kind of more under the impression that it was a one-sided romance.
I just feel like he's kind of DTF at all times, and he's looking for windows.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But yeah, so we have an excellent week, probably full of a lot more strategy than last week. So
there was definitely strategy this week. It was just emotionally manipulative strategy.
Yeah.
Well, this is where we're going to really see like what Scotty's made of, because I think if he has a weakness in his game, it's that he spent the first 2 weeks just palling with Steve. I don't think he has a good sense of how to build an alliance, and he can be that free agent guy, and that's a way to play the game. But he needs to have at least someone more than Sam that he can count on for votes, because inevitably he's going to raise his profile and get put on the block.
He could play an Andy game, but the problem is he has 0 social chops. He doesn't put in the work to actually have the ability to play both sides. So I'm a little bit worried about him. I think he'll take an easy route and put up the bros, but I hope not.
It'd be fun to watch that.
I know that he was talking a little while ago about how he wanted to he wants to get Brett out because Brett's doing a really good job, but he knows that Winston would go first. So he does kind of I think that would be really interesting. But now that he seems like he's really close with Tyler, because Tyler's the only one that's shown that Scotty can trust him.
Right.
So if Tyler doesn't want that, we'll see if that ends up happening or not.
By the way, before I want Brett or Winston gone, I definitely want to evict that horrible mustache that was on Brett's face.
Oh, man. He's really...
Go ahead, Shaun. I want to hear what you have to say about this abomination on his face. I don't know. And I'm not...
that abomination that you so kindly talked about, that is what makes Brett. I'm so glad he finally grew into himself inside the Big Brother house. It took a while.
It was like he was dressing up as a douchebag for Halloween. It was super, every week I'm kind of on the fence about whether he is an actual full-on douche or whether he's just partial douche and knows how to play it.
I think he's playing one, honestly. He's doing a really good job of playing up he's really doing a good job of using Winston as the shield. And
that's true.
And yeah, I don't know. I want to give Brett some credit because I think he's playing a decent game.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a costume on now, and I super appreciate it because it makes it. I like looking at him. It's a lot of fun.
I mean, his mustache makes my sad excuse for a mustache look decent. So
yours is a sad excuse. God knows what mine is.
Kelly, we don't talk about your mustache.
Oh man. So guys, this has been a fantastic off the rails episode, but I love all of you, and I can't wait to do it again on Sunday.
This is fun.
I know. I swear, I'm really enjoying myself, even though I've yawned 20 times. I'm really having a good time.
Don't lie, you just want to go rock climbing.
That's it too, but I'm also apparently very tired.
What happens if you have to yawn while you're rock climbing?
You die.
I think
you die.
You die, man. You're dead.
You yawn, you die. Oh, Parks and Rec.
Funny.
So we'll be back on Sunday. I don't know if there's really anything else that we need to talk about. It's going to be an interesting week, that's for sure.
I will not be here.
Oh, that's
right. It's my birthday on Sunday.
I'm gonna miss your birthday. Oh my god.
My birthday's on Thursday.
Wow. Wait.
Your birthday's eviction night?
Today. Yes.
Oh, fantastic.
It's going to be interesting because either Sam will use her power, which she probably won't, or someone awesome is going to get out. When I say awesome, I mean awful. It's going to be great. So Shaun's not going to be here.
There are 3 birthdays happening this month. Kelly, when's your birthday?
In June.
You son of a bitch.
I'm surrounded by July birthdays. I just realized that.
Yeah.
July.
A bunch of sensitive cancers.
Yep, that's us.
No, Shaun's a Leo.
I don't know about that. I might be a Leo. I could be a cusp Cancer's Leo.
You're a cancerous Leo.
Yeah.
When's your birthday, Shaun? We're still live, by the way.
Look, There's so much fucking information flying out into the interwebs. I'm 27, the 27th. So
Okay.
the week after you guys.
You're right on the edge there.
Right on the do you know the constellation, man?
No, I'm not into horoscopes at all. That's not my
okay. I almost thought you said you were in a horse, but never mind.
I just know that in the dating world, people
live on the internet.
Oh well.
Okay. Anyway.
So on that birthday note, we're gonna go.
Yeah.
3 of us will be back on Sunday, maybe 4. I don't know. We might be able to get Brian and Kelly.
Ryan,
if we wanted to,
Kelly,
yeah,
should definitely meet.
That'd be kind of cool. Shaun won't be here for it, so that'll never happen.
Well, that's his fault.
Yeah. If you guys ever need to stand in for me if I'm away, you should get my sister on here. She's very opinionated.
Your sister's thebomb.com.
No way. If anyone I want to see on here, it's your brother, the wolf guy.
The wolf guy.
Wait, there's more wolf guy than
oh my gosh. Oh yeah, he's a Portland Abbott.
Oh boy. All right. I must meet that person.
He's awesome.
All right.
All right, you guys.
Anyway, good night, guys.
We're just gonna keep having random conversations.
We just like each other too much.
It's so much fun.
My dog just peed on the floor.
Okay, we're gonna go. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.